Well, good morning to you. Welcome to a brand new week, a brand new day, right here on Voice of the People Television. I am Moses Humphrey.
And I'm Fina Okechukwu. Welcome to today's show. Today is also the 28th day in the month of October 2024. And we have quite an interesting lineup this morning. Dokubo's cabinet chaos. Some people are saying that this is more like an insult to Niger Delta and Southeast. And also the Niger Delta youth slam NPCL Kiari for broken Port Harcourt refinery promises. Remember, we've been changing the goalpost. It's going to come back on the 30th of June. No, we move it again to August. And up until now, we are yet to know what is happening in that refinery. And youth groups under the coalition of Niger Delta Youth Against Poverty, Insecurity and Environmental Degradation, known as Niger Delta Development Force, threatened to shut down all installations in the region if the president refuses to caution the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, over alleged attempt to undermine the administration of Governor Similai Fubara of Rivers State. Will the president do something about that? Just stay with us, you'll get to know.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. This week is also the last week of the month of October, and we are gradually our final descent to the end of the year. I am Chukwuma Okoro. The Speaker of the Borno State House of Assembly, Abdul Karim Lawan, has called on the federal government to purchase a new aircraft for the Vice President, Kashim Shetima. This is because in a recent incident on September 24, 2024, Shetima's trip to Samoa for the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit was abruptly cancelled when his plane, during a stopover at JFK Airport, suffered damage after being struck by an object impacting the cockpit windscreen. I think this has to do with safety concerns. Fina?
Yeah, it is. It is, because, but if you check it out, it's more like a best strike, having the windscreen caught and all that. But anyway, these are more what we'll be looking at in today's show, but we have quite interesting trending topics or trending issues that happened during the weekend.
Oh, yes, of course. Well, we'd like for you to subscribe to our page on YouTube. That's how you can be part of the family. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. And on all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. All right. Well, let's look at a few issues that trended over the weekend. 16 years gains reversed by Buhari and Tinubu bad policies. This is according to IMF. Oh, well, we also have the conversation around the president's spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, who blasted a newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, for a story that they tagged military, a story that they published on Friday. We actually talked about that one here on the show. And the story, has something to do with a military takeover. By Ononuga is of the opinion that it has a military takeover undertone in that story. Oh, well. These are some issues that trended over the weekend. We'll talk about these and more.
You see, Moses, I don't know why IMF and World Bank are all over Nigeria. They say one thing in one breath, and another breath, they say a different thing altogether. We're talking about the reversal in the gains made 16 years ago by the Buhari administration. That's apparently talking about the gains made during the PDP administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, Musa Yar'Adua, and Goodluck Jonathan. You recall that it was at that point that Nigeria's economy became the strongest and the biggest in Africa, with $500 billion worth of GDP.
All right.
Unfortunately, 9 years down the line, we are number 4 now with a paltry $247 billion worth of an economy. But we keep hearing different stories. The economy is growing, GDP is doing well, inflation is coming down, and all of that. And you begin to wonder, these people that tell us these things, do they actually live in this country with us?
It's quite interesting.
Also wonder where they get the figures from.
That's another one.
IMF in particular, IMF seems to be talking from both sides of their mouth right now.
Well, there's a World Bank also, such.
Yes, they're talking about the previous administration.
World Bank and IMF, they are twins.
They're talking about the previous
brothers.
administration. They're talking about, economic downturn in Nigeria within this administration. They're also letting us believe that, the policies of this administration is beginning to, make positive impact. But making positive impacts. Question on my mind is it impacting the lives of Nigerians? The answer is no.
You know, talking about the lives of Nigerians, it's more like IMF now is beginning to push out the blame to this present administration, because there's this.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. If you check the Daily Post in the newspaper, also the weekend, there's a story that they said it was Tinubu's decision. You know, IMF denies being behind subsidy removal. And that was when
because Nigerians were blaming IMF for that, you know, but I wonder why they even felt the need
to explain to Nigerians.
I've had cause to discuss this with you personally, you know, and I said that looks pretty like the president, his economic policies might be very, very thoughtful, very, very thoughtful, but probably not well thought out because of the way he goes about implementing it. Something tells me that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, we had this conversation.
Yes.
We did.
Because what he's doing,
how many Nigerians will be alive?
What we need to do is, that's what I say, it wasn't well thought out. Because these policies, if you ask me, that's very needful. But it's about how he goes about implementing those policies.
I think you know that.
Especially when they ask Nigerians to tolerate, to make sacrifices.
Yeah, make sacrifices.
Meanwhile,
and they are
not
lavishly
they are spending lavishly. That is one of the major concerns Nigerians have.
All right, and Bayo Onanuga seems to be always spitting fire when people speak ill or speak negatively about yes, he just seems to want to spit fire. He's beginning to make himself look like I don't want to use the word attack dog, but he's beginning to make himself look like one who is always on the attack, and that's a way of gagging the public.
I'm happy
gagging
he wants a media personality.
He is a media. He's a media person. That's tilts towards gagging. Subtly threatening the media not to carry out stories. I think there is still freedom of information. There's still freedom of expression.
Yes.
People should be allowed to express themselves as long as they are not inciting. Well, the word inciting is it's a matter of perspective, really.
The funny thing that I'm happy you said that is a matter of perspective, because this article that the Guardian newspaper published on Friday, more like misery, hardship, had policies driving Nigerians to desperate choices. They never made anything about the military takeover. Yes,
he was the one that explaining.
It has that undertone. and we want to ask Chukuma, now, Nigerians are having multidimensional poverty to start with. We are an oil producing country, and yet there is no fuel. There's fuel scarcity. And a whole lot of people are staying in IDP camps. There's insecurity in the land. And the only thing Nigerians are asking for is for the government to take responsibility. Let them provide Nigerians with essential commodities that we need. That is all we're asking.
And
nothing more.
That's not too much to ask for.
That's not what we're asking.
If you ask me, I think that somebody like Bayo Onanuga, Moses is clearly an attack dog. Let's not paint words here. He is clearly an attack dog for his principle. And that is not what it should be. What Bayo is supposed to do as a spokesperson for the president is to defend the policies of his government and spotlight his achievements.
Exactly.
You have an APC publicity secretary. You have a minister of information whose job it is to defend the government policies. Now, somebody like Bayo should be very, very thankful and grateful to Guardian, because what Guardian has done is to mirror the pulse of the society and present it to the government. Because when they are ensconced, in Asari and all of that, they don't seem to understand what the average Nigerian is going through. It is no Guardian that called people out to wave down, flag down military vehicles that were on patrol and said, please, you people should come and take over government. It is not Guardian that did that. And look again, this morning, Bayo said, look, people that are calling the president T-Pen should understand that the president is not T-Pen. I mean, people who don't even understand the meaning of T-Pen will begin to ask, what is T-Pen? So he is simply he's demarcating his principle, if you ask me.
I think a lot of Nigerians already know what T-Pen is in reference to...
He's just amplifying it.
In reference to the president. but he just seems to be on Friday. Anyway, let's go to the papers now. Let's look at headlines, stories that made it to the cover pages this morning. I'll start off with the Daily Trust. The banner headline here reads, hardship bites harder as North enters 8th day without electricity. Well, you're talking about the North. Some parts of Lagos have been without electricity for 10 days. My area specifically. Well, the sub-writers to this one reads, services grounded in hospitals, labs, residents, frozen food dealers count losses, vandals on the prowl, destroy transformers, unfortunately. Like that's going to solve the problem. Efforts to restore power ongoing, TCN. And then window headlines there. 7 die in Abuja building collapse. Unfortunate one. How One Chance Syndicate killed female legislative aide. Dangote backs Tinubu CNG drive, invests over $280 million in trucks infrastructure. And then you go further down, we have another bold headline here. High cost, low sales of petrol stations, low sales at petrol stations as citizens abandon vehicles. Fuel price up by 600% in 2 years. Increased energy cost, threat to economic growth, experts. Well, these are the headlines from the Daily Trust.
On the cover page of the Punch newspaper this morning, the banner headline reads, again, varsities face lockdown as workers begin strike today. Right after that story, non-teaching staff shut varsities office gates, a ministry mum as minister quits on Wednesday. Right, and just beside the masthead, we have other headlines to be LPADC governorship candidates woes voters with free education, others. The story is on page 13 of the Punch newspaper. State won't tamper with LG funds, Ayeda Tiwa tells voters. And that story is also on page 13 of the Punch newspaper. And window headlines today reads, FG plans tax overhaul to access $750 million World Bank loan. I'll take that again for clarity's sake. FG plans tax overhaul to access $750 million World Bank loan. The story is on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Army begins enlisting ex-soldiers to bridge manpower shortfalls. EFCC to track funds as LG autonomy begins November. The story is on page 2 of the Vanguard newspaper. And then we have a major pictorial that reads, NSCDC arrests illegal Chinese miners in Nasarawa. And you have their pictorial there. NSCDC arrests illegal Chinese miners in Nasarawa. Helicopter crash. Family demands body of missing NNPCL worker. The story is on page 13 of the Punch newspaper. Lagos probes engineer's death at construction site. I'll take that again. Lagos probes engineer's death at construction site. The last but not the least of the headline that made it to the cover page of the Punch newspaper this morning reads, CNG Dangote invests $280 million in conversion, others. And those are the headlines that made it to the cover page of the Punch newspaper. And that is also how far we can go looking at the cover page of the National Dailies this morning. But do well to join Chukuma and Moses for the newspaper review, newspaper analysis proper. And that will be at 9 a.m. here on Voice of the People TV. And we'll take a quick break. And when we'll come back this morning, we'll be looking at a wonderful topic, a quite interesting one, where we're having a lot of people talking about the cabinet reshuffling and also the merger of Nddc. Some are saying that they won't tolerate it. And also we have the Niger Delta youth also calling on the president to help reduce Wike's activity in River State, saying that they are going to stop all, installation processes in that area. Just stay with us. After this quick break, we'll look into this topic.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lawn.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries. Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things and makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
All right, welcome back. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. President Tinubu's administration seems focused on the northeast, northwest, and the southwest, while the southeast, south, and the north central are feeling shut out. While his selective focus is stirring frustration, especially in the oil-rich Niger Delta, where locals have long fought against environmental neglect and economic exclusion. Well, however, youth groups in the Niger Delta, under the Coalition Against Poverty and Insecurity, are demanding the resignation of NNPCA's Miliki Yari. Well, they are frustrated by his failure to restart the Port Harcourt refinery as promised, leaving Nigerians at the mercy of high fuel prices. Well, adding to the tension, Niger Delta militants have threatened to shut down oil installations, accusing the Federal Capital Territory Minister, Nyesom Wike, of undermining Rivers State Governor Fubara. The militants warn of escalating action if the president fails to address these grievances, pointing to a potential showdown that could hit Nigeria's economy hard. Oh well, these threats flying around and Nigerians struggling to make ends meet as a result of high cost of fuel. Well, this is the conversation we are having, one of it, this morning, and we have with us in the studio Barrister Darlington Agumo. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning, Moses. How was your weekend?
Very well, thank you. I hope you had a restful one too.
Yeah, we did.
Great. And right beside Barrister, we have Shegun Shokwiton, who is Chairman, Accountability, Candor, and Transparency Network. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Moses.
Good to have you on the show. It's been a while.
Good to see you guys, absolutely.
All right, then, so let's get into the conversation now. Now, with everything going on, we understand the reasons why there was the formation of amnesty in the first instance. I'm going to put this out straightforward to you, Mr. Shokwiton. Should we be concerned that in the nearest future we might see a reoccurrence of what led to the amnesty in the first instance, amnesty for the Niger Delta?
Yeah, I find this trend disturbing. You know, and this started when the Northeast started agitating for a Northeast Development Commission, according to them, as a result of you know, the activities of the insurgents at that time. You know, this happened about 4 or 5 years ago, and I found that the administration of President Buhari folded to those demands, and they created that. And you know, I don't think there's a justification for that, and I think that we need to make sure that we don't lose. It looks as if we're losing our way with regards to the reason for the creation of the Niger Delta Commission, which actually is a legacy agency of OMPADEC. You know, so these things are not new. There is a very clear and specific reason why we had the Niger Delta Commission, which later, as a part of the political solution to the agitations in that region, resulted in Niger Delta Ministry. So if you want to say, okay, you want to scale down on costs and take down a minister from Niger Delta Ministry, I would understand that and empower the commission more to do its job. But a situation where we've forgotten the primary reason, which is the degradation, the terrible, unjustifiable degradation of the environment and the lives and livelihood of the people of that region, where we're now de-emphasizing that and even talking about a Southwest Development Commission. And I'm wondering, what's the problem with the Southwest? If we have a Southwest Development Commission, then goodness gracious, then we need a Southeast Development Commission, we need a Northwest Development Commission, we need a North Central Development Commission, and it's all beginning to look ridiculous. The whole point of that commission in the Niger Delta was to deal with the specific degradation they were suffering. End of story. You know, now it's been politicized, and where everybody's agitating for commissions and all that, and if we're not careful, like you say, I was thinking about it, we may find ourselves back to the very dark days of agitation and bombing of oil facilities. Those guys are still there. It's not as if they can't arm themselves, and in fact, they're still armed. The only reason that they've stepped down is because, to a very good degree, the Umar Yar'Adua, Yar'Adua administration actually dealt with that matter extensively, and then Yemi Osinbajo, while he was acting president under Buhari, also went to that region and had conversations with the community leaders, and that quelled those things. If President Tinubu is not careful with this, his very parochial approach to appointments and how would I call it now, dispensation of patronage, the way he's doing, just because he's trying to feather his nest towards 2027, we may find ourselves back to where we don't want ourselves to be.
Quite unfortunate.
Shegu, let me stay with you because you raised a very important issue of, I think this is coming at the backdrop of scrapping the Niger Delta Ministry. Absolutely. There is NDDC, that is a development commission for the Niger Delta states, you know, and other states that fall within the oil producing area. Now, the question would be, do you think that the Niger Delta Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, within the period it was established, and the NDDC have done enough to address those concerns? You know, those degradation concerns, pollution concerns, and all of that, considering the fact that the Niger Delta Development Commission alone, since its establishment, has received in excess of 35 trillion naira.
I mean, so that's the flip side of that conversation, and I think that the two can be true at the same time. We don't need to de-emphasize the need to pay special attention to that region, on the one hand. But at the same time, that attention must yield fruits. And if it's not yielding fruits, then we should hold people accountable. You will not forget too quickly the drama that played out, you know, at the National Assembly. The current Senate president was involved in that little drama with the NDDC, chairman of the NDDC, pulling out a fainting trick because he was being called to account. You know, I mean, these things happen in this country. So I think what should happen is the NDDC, one, the Niger Delta Ministry scrapped, absolutely, because I think it's a waste, it's a duplication of functions, scrapped, the NDDC properly empowered, properly subjected to accountability, and very crucially as well, the subnational governments, the governors in that region, also being held to account for the derivation funds that they get, so that we can see commensurate development that will compensate the people of that region for the damage that their lives continue to suffer. You know, I think that's the way to approach it, rather than saying you want to create a commission across the entire country.
All right, Barrister Darlington, I would like you to, join the conversation proper with this question that, Edwin Clark and the likes of Asari Dokubo of the opinion that the South-South cannot generate the revenue that will be shared to other regions, saying that that is more like an aberration, that they won't allow the scrapping or the merger happen. Now, what do you really think? Do you think that they are saying the truth when they say whatever thing that comes from us cannot be used in developing other areas or other regions?
Yeah, the man is very correct. Very, very correct. And that has been the bane of Nigerian polity. It has always been monkey the walk, baboon the chop. That has been the major problem of Nigeria. You have a gold in Zamfara, the purest in the whole world. What is it contributing to the economy? Rather, it belongs to them. They are mining and sharing it. They even have a market for it in Dubai. Who are the people taking it there? Nigerians and their collaborators, foreigners. The president is aware of this thing. What's his name? The Minister of Solid Minerals. He came out and said, powerful Nigerians. You mean they don't have a name? Can you just imagine? Powerful Nigerians are the ones doing this. So you don't have a name, and they are too powerful for the government to tempt them. So how can you be taking oil from Niger Delta since the 60s? And you are using it to develop Lagos, you are using it to develop Abuja, and every other, all the money they are stealing in this country, 80% of them came from Niger Delta. Oil money. Yet, that place doesn't look like it is generating anything. So why wouldn't they be angry?
Who do you blame for that? Because we saw that with the Nddc and the Niger Delta Development Affairs, or whatever it's called, monies have been pushed towards that area. But certain individuals have enriched themselves at the expense of the populace.
Really? That means you don't understand what's going on.
Well,
what they did with,
make me understand, please.
What they did in Niger Delta is like a man who gave you a goat and is holding the rope.
Explain further.
Good. Who are the board members of Nddc when it was there? Who was the board member? Did you see the constitution of Nddc board? Niger Delta people were never in control. They were never in control of that ministry.
So, sorry, Barrister Darlington, yes. Who were members of the board?
Most of them are from the north.
No.
Most of
I
them
understand each state has a representative in the board. So you had 9 members of the Onyamogochukwu from Abia State was the first chairman of the board.
Look, hold on. When this man was called to the National Assembly, you heard what he said, that all of them are coming there to take money for political campaign and all that. Who was approving it? You know very well that if any member of that board, or even the man at the helm of affairs, what's his name, Agbabio, if he were to disagree or disobey, he would not be Senate president today now. Can't you get it? He was just there obeying orders from Abuja.
Agbabio was minister of Niger Delta.
That's what I'm telling you now. If he was disobeying order, if he didn't follow order, he would not be Senate president today.
Are you saying that the creation of the Nddc is more like having a political, face?
It was like a cash cow for politicians. You had it at the National Assembly. Agbabio said it himself, that all of them, they didn't want him to even mention their names. So what are you saying? Is it not somebody that gave approval? Did they just come and collect money? No. So if you are not ready to allow them, say, look, give them a marching order, give them a template, give them a target.
Sorry, Barrister Darlington. At last count, I can't remember when somebody from a non-Niger Delta Commission state was the chairman of NDDC board. I cannot. Because the chairmanship rotates among the 9 states.
Yes, I understand very well.
And the managing director has always been domiciled within those states.
Mr. Okoro, were they in charge? That's the question.
I mean, you have a chairman and a managing director.
Are they in charge? It's like this thing that's going on with the governors now. When they appoint their stooge to be governor, meanwhile, they are controlling him from Abuja. Is the governor in charge?
Are you speaking facts, Barrister?
But can't you see? Didn't you hear Agbabio at the National Assembly?
What did he say? What did he say?
He was telling them that they were the one collecting contracts. Yes. And they didn't want him to mention names. So what are you saying? The man was not in charge. He was
Barrister,
never
we
in
also
charge.
had Niger Delta sons who were awarded contracts, and they did not deliver those jobs.
How many of them?
Several of them.
Can you compare?
If you talk about the Ogoni cleanup, 80% of the job for Ogoni cleanup were given to Ogonis. And money is paid up front in full, and they didn't do anything.
Mr. Okoro, if the federal government want to do something in Ogoni land or in Niger Delta, they will take it. They will do it. When they want to play pranks, they will give you a goat and hold the rope.
If you don't give Ogoni indigenes those jobs, the youth will go and blockade those sites.
No, they can't stop it. Look, they can't stop when they were building Abuja. Did you see the effort they made there? When they were building Babangida, it was almost a direct level. They made sure that things were done because he was in a hurry to leave Lagos after Okaku.
All right then. All right, let's.
So what I'm saying that if they mean to develop Ogoni land or Niger, they will do it without all these shenanigans. Okay. That's the
all right then. So, Mr. Shegun, now would it be fair to blame the federal government for the underdevelopment of the Niger Delta region, seeing that sons of the land have been empowered to ensure and oversee development in that area, and we really don't have much to put our hands on to say this and these are things that have been done?
Well, I mean, in a certain sense, because I feel that in the federal system, the states have control, they have authority to a very large extent to oversee their own affairs. But then agenda setting, tone setting does happen from the top, and the question of leadership. If the person at the center leads with candor, with truth, with transparency, it will percolate down.
Yes.
So in that regard, you can say you can't completely exonerate, the federal government. And let's not forget, like Barrister Darlington was saying, let's not wave that aside. If the federal government wants to execute a project, sir, anywhere in this country, they will do it.
Exactly.
And nothing will stop them.
Exactly.
So to that degree, I will say you can't exonerate Abuja completely from the rot that you are seeing in the Niger Delta. Look, who is the primary beneficiary of the money that comes out of that place? Is it not the center? Everything comes out and goes into a central pot that we then share. So is it not in the interest of the person at the center to make sure that that golden goose that is laying this egg that we're all sharing is properly taken care of and well compensated?
So you're saying that the merger is more like an aberration now, that they should actually be allowed to stay on their own instead of bringing it or making it to be a regional commission?
No, I mean, that regional idea is absolute nonsense. It's a political, this is just political gamesmanship at the expense of economic realities and social realities.
Don't you think that can help out in making sure that the whole regions that have been crying foul all this while will actually be pulled together? Remember that after the war, we have the 3 big R's that was set us for the Southeast over the impact of the war. And up until now, it is just a few months ago that the Southeastern Commission was being mentioned in the National House. Now, are you now saying that this merger will not bring development to all the regions?
Look, we've got to be careful. I'm telling you, the president is leading us down a dangerous road. The development that is needed in the Southeast should be driven by the funds that are released from the center to the Southeast. The portion of the development in the Southeast that the federal government is responsible for should be handled by the federal government. The development that is required in the North Central should be handled by the people of the North Central and the federal government taking its fair share of whatever responsibility it has. To create special commissions for the same work that Ministry of Works is already empowered to do, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Power. What kind of development are we talking about? Is it not for people of those regions to have the required infrastructure and foundation and framework to do their business and live their lives normally? What is the job of the Ministry of Power, Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, if you have to create special commissions across the entirety of the country? It's ridiculous. It's an additional duplication. So for me, it makes no sense.
Do you realize that these regional development commissions are intervention agencies? If you talk about the federal presence, like a place like the South, the federal government is building the Southwest Road. It is not the duty of the NDDC.
Sure.
Now, what the NDDC is supposed to do is to build hospitals, build colleges, build health centers across to intervene, where the federal government does not reach. That is the essence of it. Considering that, do you still think that, look, the federal government should be held responsible for the underdevelopment?
No.
Given the fact that, like I keep repeating, 37 trillion naira given to the NDDC for the number of years it has existed.
I understand what you're saying, and I think that we can't shy away from the fact that the people at the local level have failed woefully in managing the funds that have been released to them. That's, like I said, it's one side of the conversation, and it's supposed to be examined thoroughly. What has happened to all of those monies? I've been to the Niger, there's nowhere in the South that I've not traveled to, and I can tell you that it's shocking. Abuja is far more developed. Lagos is far more developed than Bayelsa or Yenogwa. If you go to Yenogwa is a linear town, just one road, and that's it. Once you move beyond that road, there is nothing else behind that major road.
There are instances.
That's a shame.
Shogu, there are instances that even the NDDC wants to construct a road in a particular community. The youth will come out and say, stop until you pay us compensation.
Yes. The reason it happens all over the country because,
so why should that be?
Because the distribution of wealth is clearly imbalanced. And those guys feel that every time they see those tractors, this is my chance to get my own share of what we're seeing. These guys are driving jeeps. They're driving all sorts of massive cars. And then you now bring one tractor just to build one small road. They will hold you to ransom and collect their own share that they can see today.
Unfortunately, but we have an individual who has who largely claimed to be a friend to the president. I'm talking about Asari Dokubo. During the elections, he sang praises of the president, and then they seem to be falling out right now as he has come out to issue threats. Let's take a listen.
This is a nightmare for them. And when we were voting, when we were campaigning for you, a lot of Ijaw people called me, President, you don't know Tinubu. You know everything about Tinubu. Tinubu is your friend. No? We hope it's not going to look the other way. And I assured everybody, I say, if Tinubu fails, hold me responsible. And today, the people are asking me, are you still on that if Tinubu fails, hold me responsible? River State is a litmus test. If there is going to be any fire, it will start in River State. I cannot stop them.
All right, so there you have it. If there's going to be fire, it will start in River State. Well, he did point to the fact that, yes, he campaigned vigorously for the president, but they seem to be falling out now. What would you attribute this to? Let me come to the barrister now. Barrister, what would you attribute this to? Is it that monies are not trickling down, or is this for the benefits of the generality of the Niger Delta?
Moses, you can see that the Nigerian society has been destroyed because of selfish interests. Please, when you campaign for somebody, it does not require you to start making demand or that you now be the controller of national treasury. It is for national service. People have done more things than you now.
This is an individual who came on television with guns, beside him.
Because you, the federal government, you allowed it.
And then right after that, he paid a visit to Asari.
I still tell you, you allowed it as a federal government. Please, can this type of nonsense happen in US? They are campaigning now for election in November. Did you see this type of nonsense?
Barrister,
that will tell you how civilized we are.
Barrister,
because he was carrying gun and doing that. So what does that mean? So everybody should not behave like him so that you can get something out of the president when you now enter office. Is that what democracy is all about?
My question is this to get something out of this administration, or to get the administration to, fix the problem in Rivers State and by extension, Niger Delta?
Moses, the people of Niger Delta have been given a commission to take care of their problem. You, the federal government, the head, monitor and regulate what is going on there. Call the chairman. Let me see what you are doing month by month, year by year, to make sure that development is going on there. That was how they developed Abuja, for God's sake. That was how they developed Lagos.
Barrister Darlington.
So if you keep quiet and allow a non-state actor to be controlling whatever, it's your fault.
Barrister Darlington, when this Niger Delta militants make this threat, they were talking about the feud between Nyesom Wike, how he's undermining the activities of Sim Fubara, who happens to be the governor of River State. They've asked the president to caution Wike, to hold him, to make him not to come to distort the peace or the tranquility that river people are enjoying. Now, do you think with this threat, because they say they are going to shut down oil installations if Wike is not being called back to order. Now, do you think that this threat actually will make way? Do you think the federal government in any way will step in again?
Moses, you can see now. You can see what I was saying here when Wike was behaving like a loose cannon. I told the president that you are creating a monster out of Wike, and people will follow his footsteps. You can see it now. You mean this thing happen now, you blame them. No, you will not blame them because you started by allowing Wike to do what he was doing. That was the reason. You see how we create problem where there should be none.
Is Wike that big that
a whole region
cannot contain
You should ask President Tinubu, you should ask him whether Wike has become more powerful than him. That's what we are saying here. I said this several years that this thing that President Tinubu allowed Wike to do, it will cause a problem. Because many people are going to follow his footsteps. That's it. You will blame them. Mr. Okoro, will you blame them? Imagine if Tinubu had called Wike, please, don't cause all this problem for me. Stay in Abuja or you resign. What was he driving at? Selfish interests. Let me control river. Let me control this. Tomorrow night somebody will say, he gave a river people this and that. But you are the one controlling this from Abuja.
Mr. Darlington, if this venture happens, what does this really put it
will be the problem of Tinubu. Let him carry it. I cannot sympathize with him.
Shagun,
he created it.
Let me come to you.
He created it.
Of course, if oil installations are being blown up, it will not just be the problem of the president. It will affect Nigerians because our economy is hinged on oil. So it will definitely affect the economy. And yes, like Asari Dokubo did say, if trouble starts in Rivers State, it will trickle down to other parts of Nigeria, and Nigerians don't want that at this time. How do you react to this statement that he has made? Well, he keeps saying that I know the president, I know everything about the president. I, for one, would like to know the things he knows. But with the president's move of, are the moves of the president to whittle down the power of, those that have been, those within the Niger Delta area? Is it to whittle down their power while he appeases, the northwest and other areas? Or what exactly, how would you assess the moves of the president, really?
President Tinubu is first and foremost a politician. He pretends to be a democracy activist, but for me it's hypocrisy.
But if he's falling out with those,
let me explain. Everything that is happening now is about 2027. And this started last year. As soon as he won the elections, being a consummate political strategist, he started planning for the next election. So all of this is being orchestrated by Wike. Who is all of the problems in Rivers and the Asari Dokubo video you just showed? It's all about Wike. And Wike is, as we know, a bull in a China shop. He can be controlled. With all due respect to him, he behaves like a thug. Now, it is that same attribute that won the president this election. Wike was a major instrument that was used to win the 2023 elections, win in quotes, right? Wike, whatever happened in the South-South, whether you say it was rigging or it was actual votes that were gathered, Wike was right at the heart of it. And the president knows that in 2027, he will need that same thing. He is not going to call Wike to order.
How do you think that can
He's
actually
not going
happen
to.
again, Mr. Shegu, given the fact that some Nigerians are of the opinion that things have already fallen apart, and in the books of Chinua Achebe, so when things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Now, with the happenings now in Nigeria, are you now saying, some people are saying that we are not sure that 2027 election will even come to be, given the fact that a lot of people are agitating, and secessionists are also there.
That's amongst us. We're talking about the calculations in the head of the man, Paul Tinubu, right? As you speak now, another move that people, observers know is about 2027 is the creation of the livestock ministry. This man is planning this man is planning towards his re-election. He is not going to call anybody to order.
But he has said he's
going
not
to
even thinking of that.
Look, he's going to call Asari Dokubo and say, oh boy, what do you want?
But he said he's not even thinking of the election for 2027.
Who said that? Oh, of course he's going to say that. Do you expect him to say, I'm planning for 2027? He will say the right things for the optics and do what he needs to do, in the background. So for me, I think that the president needs to be very careful. Because like you say, if he does not moderate his actions and think a bit more far-sightedly, 2027 itself will not happen.
Sorry, please. Let me just drop this. In as much as we are trying to get into the president's mind and see what his thoughts might be, you did mention the creation of the livestock ministry. One cannot ignore that. But is it just to appease the North? Is it just for 2027? Will things return to what they used to be after 2027? Is this at this time that Nigerians are calling for limited expenditure in governance?
Yep.
Does it seem like the president cares about reducing cost of governance? When you talk about the livestock ministry that has been created, 7 more ministers added, and then the scrapping of the Niger Delta Development Affairs.
Yep. They're all political calculations, and I tell you that the man Tinubu doesn't care about anything else. He's interested in coming back in 2027.
It doesn't seem like he cares about Nigerians.
He doesn't care about anything else. And he even said it, look, what baffles me is when a man has come out openly to say what he is and what he's going to do, and people are still ascribing other attributes to him. This man said during campaigns, he had the audacity and the temerity to say, I will remove subsidy. And there's nothing you will do. You can protest all you want, I will remove it. And he now followed that up by saying, and by the way, I will win these elections. When a man speaks like that before elections, then you know that there is more at play. This guy is not about you and I. He's about his political ambition. He has achieved it, and he must, for the sake of pride, political pride and ego, he must have a second term. He will not be that president that came in and was removed after one time. It's not going to happen. So all of these things is just towards, making sure that happens.
Shegu, let me stay with you. Let me stay with you. This issue of the scrapping of the Niger Delta ministry, the composition of the cabinet, has raised eyebrows across Nigeria. You also said something that is quite instructive. You said that the president is parochial in his engagement. Asari Dokubo has complained about the president being nepotistic. People from the southeast are complaining, the north is shouting. Now, my question would be, I want to pack a bit for you so that you can help us unglue it. Is there any ministry or agency that is more important than the other? I say that in the light of the fact that since the president came in, if you look at the composition of his cabinet, his kitchen cabinet, the Federal Executive Council, the agencies, in a multi-ethnic society like Nigeria, at last count, you have more than about 40 agencies headed by people from the president ethnic group, from the Yoruba ethnic group. If you count few of them, you see the Minister of Finance, Minister of Education, Trade and Industry, Petroleum, Marine and Blue Economy, Minister of Power, Minister of Justice, Communications, Interior, Solid Minerals, EFCC, CBN, BOI, FIRS, NISAL, DSS, Chief of Army Staff, Customs, Immigration, Defense, Intelligence, Permanent Secretary, State House, Commandant, Guards of Brigade, IGP, BPE, BPP, Chief of Staff, Accountant General of the Federation, Head of Service, FCCPC, NEPA, NIMASA, NSITF, PENCOM, ANCOM, MPH, CDA, NAFDAC, NITCOM, NOA, NEBZA, Supreme Court, and all of others. Let us even agree that these people are the eggheads in our country. Is it possible that you come to a multi-ethnic society, you find the best of the best from only one ethnic group? And how does this help us in building a Nigerian nation?
I mean, it's really unfortunate. I'm a Yoruba man, and proudly so. And this is extremely un-Yoruba behavior. That we typically, the Yoruba race is, they're a race of intellectuals. And they are typically fair-minded people. And they always, and also cosmopolitan, where we have friends, as I speak to you, I'm married to a non-Yoruba person. It's my second marriage, and neither was Yoruba. So that's the way we are. We intermarry freely, we make friends. My best friend is from Kogi State, from childhood, I have Muslim friends who are very tight pals. That's the way we are. What this president is doing is all about himself. And to be honest, I don't understand it. I guess at the end of the day, it's about protecting himself, protecting his empire, and his personal interests. So when it comes to that, you have to use the people you trust. Where will you find the people you trust, if not from your immediate circles? So that's why you have Minister of Finance being from not just his race. This is somebody he has worked with for 30 years. That's why the CBN governor is somebody he has worked with for 30 years. That's why the Minister of Budget and Planning, even though he's not a Yoruba man, is somebody he has worked with for 30 years. Because these people are the ones that must protect and guide his, that nest that he's feathering. So these appointments are really embarrassing. Ordinarily, my approach to these issues is it doesn't matter where you're from. Just deliver. But this is too brazen. When Buhari did something like, Jonathan did something like this, and people complained, Buhari made it worse. Buhari tripled it. And people were like, oh my goodness, what is this? Now, it's embarrassing that all of, and you've got to be strategic in your thinking. How can the majority of the security services be Yoruba people? I mean, it's the things that happened in Rwanda that led to what happened in that country was not anything different from this. It was the other tribes feeling, now only on a day, what is the problem? How can the president do this? So for me, the constitution doesn't stop him, but I think that political sense should advise him that this is not good. You can't alienate everybody. At the end of the day, you will shoot yourself in the foot. All these political calculations towards 2027 may very well be undermined by disappointments.
Now, Barrister Darlington, what do you think is driving this, ethnocentrism that we've been seeing for some time now? Remember, more like it started more with the APC-led administration. The former president, Buhari, also did the same thing. And Nigerians also talk about it. And now we have another APC man again in the presidency as a number one person. And also, we are seeing the same thing playing out. Is it really settling scores, or is there something that Nigerians are yet to know?
You see, that will show you the caliber of leaders APC has produced. Compare what you are saying now with when PDP started. Look at Obasanjo. He went out of the shores of this country to shop for good hands. It was Obasanjo that discovered the Okonjo-Iweala, Bat Nnaji, and even Aromauta and so many of them. It was Obasanjo. He went outside here. And you and I know what happened under his administration. So, when these APC leaders came to deceive Nigerians with the change, we say, okay, maybe something better than PDP is coming. Look at where we are today. Buhari started this, in fact, brazenly. The one that annoyed me most was when he added 940 million naira in our national budget in 2016. Something never happened before to fund the Fulani herdsmen's activities. Mention any Nigerian leader that have done that kind of brazen attitude in our national to fund their activities, their business. And that was when nepotism started. It became a state policy. And the rest is history today. Now, Tinubu, who claimed to be a Democrat, listen very well, oh, he said he came to reform. Please, is that how to reform a country? If Tinubu met a bad economy and a bad polity and all that, is this how to reform it by this nepotism? You can see now. Is he reforming Nigeria with this attitude? You and I know the answer. Look at the elections that have been conducted in the states under his watch, even the local government. Is that reform? When he boasted to APC people who came to Asari, do you want a Edo state? I will give you a Edo state. and he gave it. That's the man who came for reform. He now gives states to his party as he like. He reforming Nigeria. Remember, he's reforming Nigeria. That's what we have now. So when people are talking of reform, I don't believe in it. Because I know the person that is saying doesn't mean what he's saying. He don't want to put it forward, telling us that we should wait for 15 years for us to. So he's going to remain there for 15 years. Is that what he's saying? Already you are hearing some rumor in the National Assembly that certain laws want to be changed so that Sharia, whatever. If they change that law, that means the Muslim ticket, of course, they will remain in office now. Is that not where they are going? I said these people didn't want the progress of Nigeria. The way they are thinking, the way they are behaving. That's why we are going backwards. No patriotism in their spirit. Nobody can come and convince me otherwise. Because if I see a leader who wants to do things right, my dear, you don't need to tell me, I will see his actions. You don't need to talk about. People will see that, yes, you want to do something right. All this nonsense about reform, this and nobody reforming anything. You can see it. You can see it. You can feel it. This is not how to reform an economy. This is not how to reform a country by being nepotic. You can never reform anything. Rather, you are creating hatred among the tribes. Now the Kali is still there. You are removed, you are released the other people. You are even pampering the other people in the north. Is that reform? Please, somebody should tell me. Anybody that makes too much noise, you find something to appease him.
Yeah, well, Boris,
is that reform?
Talking about appeasing, the president just nominated Bianca Ojukwu. Do you consider that an appeasement or,
No, it's not an appeasement. It's for electoral purpose. Unfortunately, Bianca Ojukwu does not have electoral value, either in Anambra or in the southeast. How many people are following her? If Ojukwu were alive, he wouldn't even try to touch that appointment. It would not possible. Ojukwu will not allow it. So, of all the people in the southeast, it has to be Bianca Ojukwu. What electoral value does she have in Anambra?
Barrister Wellington, when Ojukwu came back from exile, he joined the MPN against the MPP that was led by Nnamdi Azikiwe. So what makes you think that? Makes you think that he will not allow Bianca to accept this position?
On what ground? The templates have changed now. What happened that time? What's going on now? Is it the same?
I mean, before Ojukwu died, he was preaching Nigeria's unity.
Yes. But what happened when Ojukwu was granted amnesty to come back from Ivory Coast? Is it the same that going on today in the southeast? The southeast know what they want. They have made their demand. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu so that there will be peace there, so that the economy will bounce back. You refuse. So what are you saying? The man even said that if he's released today and that one single insecurity, they should hold him accountable. People are using his name to commit all manner of atrocity. And we say, release this man for peace today. You refuse. What did Nnamdi Kanu do that other people have not done, especially in the north today? In the first place, Mr. Okoro, on what ground will I now give Northeast and Northwest Development Commission? When I was told, or when they told us, their leaders told us how they brought terrorism here to destroy Nigeria. You destroy your own religion and you want me to come and pay for it. Is that fair? Tell me. They told us here that they brought the terrorists into Nigeria because of power. So how is that my problem? Why should you use my time to go and repair their region? Is that fair? That's what we are saying here.
All right, then.
They should have been allowed to repair what they destroyed now. That's what we are saying here.
All right, then. Well, let's get into another conversation now. Shetima's safety is important. Maiduguri Speaker Abdul Karim Lawan urges the federal government to prioritize acquiring a new plane for the vice president. Let's talk about this when we come back.
All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, the Speaker of the Borno State House of Assembly, Abdul Karim Lawan, has made an urgent appeal to the federal government demanding for a new aircraft for the Vice President, Kashim Shetima. Lawan's pleas follow a string of technical mishaps with the Shetima's current aircraft, raising alarm over the VP's safety during international trips representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In a shocking development on September 24, 2024, Shetima's plane was forced to abort its trip to Samoa for the Commonwealth Summit after a foreign object struck the aircraft at JFK Airport, damaging the cockpit windscreen. The close call is just the latest, with earlier calls for both the president and vice president to receive new aircraft, only to see the president's plane replaced, leaving Shetima with a malfunctioning prone jet. Lawan expressed relief over Shetima's safety in the latest incident, stressing the need for a U.S. investigation into the JFK mishap and underscoring that Shetima's life remains at risk if an upgraded plane isn't provided. Lawan urged the federal government to act swiftly and prevent any further danger. We still have in the studio Barrister Darlington Agomo and Mr. Shegu Shopito. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us.
Thank you, Mr.
All right then.
Shegu, a new aircraft for the vice president. What's your take?
I mean, these people don't rate us. You know, they clearly live in a completely different universe from where we are, and they clearly don't understand what is going on and what's at stake, and they don't care. Because if they did, then this guy won't have the guts to come out in spite of the uproar that happened in the aftermath of the president acquiring a $150 million plane, acquiring a 5 billion naira yacht, you know, and a 1 billion naira car. And then now, the new one is that even the vice president needs a new plane. First of all, I find the whole story very curious. It's extremely curious. What does the word foreign object mean? What's a foreign object? This plane was parked, was on the tarmac in an airport, in one of the biggest airports in the world, and then it was struck by a foreign object. What exactly does that mean? I mean, it's one of the strangest stories I've ever heard. What's a foreign object? Is it that somebody shot at it? Was it a missile? You know, was it a stone? Was it a bird? What struck it? And how does it being struck by some foreign object mean that you then need to buy a new aircraft? I mean, is it that the foreign object broke the windscreen?
Well, that's
because if the foreign object broke the windscreen, then you change the windscreen. I don't understand. What kind of story is this?
Shegu, this isn't the
sounds so ridiculous.
This isn't the first time. The other time, I don't know where he was traveling to, and his trip was aborted because of a faulty aircraft.
Yes.
What about safety concerns? Should the vice president actually be flying on a faulty aircraft?
I think what should happen is very simple and very clear. The aircraft should be taken for thorough, comprehensive maintenance and checks. You know, the lifespan of an aircraft is either in number of years or in the number of miles that it has covered. None of our aircraft, none of the planes on our fleet have exceeded the basic threshold that is required in terms of safety. So we shouldn't be talking about replacing aircraft, you know, in this situation. We should be talking about conducting proper maintenance. Just maintain this aircraft, take them to the manufacturers, let them, if you have to change the engine or whatever. I mean, for goodness sake, you've taken subsidies out. Nigerians are literally dying. People have moved from 101 or 001. Do you know that people are now eating 10001? Some people don't eat for 2 days. How can we be talking about buying another plane for goodness sake because the vice president's plane was struck by a foreign object? I think our politicians really, really need to watch it. You know, there was an editorial by the Guardian day before yesterday, I think it was, or was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. And the presidency had to do a release to counteract it. And that editorial was saying, Nigerians are desperate. Nigerians are so desperate that people are now beginning to make out calls for all sorts of calls that you would not expect people that understand how governance works to be making. You know, so these politicians really need to be careful. They are driving us towards a precipice. And the earlier that they stop it, the better.
All right, Barrister, let me come to you now. First off, the president, you know, we heard the president's aircraft wasn't really good, and then there was a call for another one for the president's safety. Of course, Nigerians want, you know, we want the president safe. And we had, according to records, Nigeria had about 10 aircraft in the presidential fleet. We were told that a few of them might be put together, about 3 of them might be sold for the president to purchase one. Now, we weren't informed, well, I wasn't informed, I don't know if you were, that a few were sold for the president to buy the Airbus that he bought. But if one aircraft assigned to the vice president is faulty, in a country where people are trying to manage, shouldn't we be thinking of deploying another one to go pick him up and take him to Samoa, as against abandoning the trip entirely and calling for a purchase of another aircraft?
Sorry, Moses. Barrister, before you come in, Moses, you realize that the House of Representatives actually made a recommendation for 2 aircraft, one for the president and another one for the vice.
So now, both the House of Rep and even the Vice President himself, there is something that's going on here. It is a competition. Why should the president have an aircraft and the vice will not have? Who is promoting that idea? Somebody from the north. Their own son must have a new aircraft. Why with his own car, why will he be using the old one? These are the issues. The foreign audience they are talking about, I was waiting for somebody to name something, either UFO or something that you and I does not know. You can see now, they are working towards an answer. That's why that thing happened. They were working towards an answer. Why won't Shetima get his own new plane since Tinubu had gotten his own? In the first place, it is a height of profligacy for you to have 10 presidential jets. Where you go and borrow money for this your lavish lifestyle, do they have even 2 or 1? There are some countries in the Western world, they don't have anything for the president. They join commercial, maybe enter first class and go to where. Is there any place you want to go in this world today that you can't get a flight to that place? Please tell me.
Nigeria is a very rich country. Should our president and vice be jumping on commercial flights?
Mr. Okoro, please, don't take me there. Don't take me there now, please. Don't take me there. You are a very rich what?
A very rich country, of course.
Who told you that?
At least we are number 4 in Africa.
What
America borrows, Japan borrows.
Are you serious for what?
Should our president and vice be jumping on commercial air flights?
Their children, their citizens, are they this hungry? Are they this poor? This place you mentioned now. Have you seen any American borrowing or going through the desert to go through Libya, to go to Spain and all that? These countries you mentioned, though, because that is where you monitor your level of development or the level of wealth you have. When your children, your own children, the poor among you, in fact, they are trekking to Libya. Is that how you define wealth? Which wealth are you talking about? There is nothing here. If we had, it is in the hand of a few people. They have frittered it away. So how can you come and say you are borrowing money all over the place, go for your own lavish lifestyle? Do you know that plane that Tinubu bought was never even they borrowed the money. It's part of borrowed money. You and I know that. The car they bought for National Assembly, it borrowed money. So what wealth are you talking about here, Mr. Okoro? Let us not go there, please. There is nothing here. And the leaders are not ready to make things work. God gave us everything fine. But your leader, what are they doing with it? They fritter it away. Give the money abroad and all that for their own lifestyle. And you are telling me you are wealthy. Where is the wealth? There's no wealth here. So that plane that this man is asking for now is for him to compete with the Tinubu. Because Tinubu bought, so he must buy too.
Barrister Darlington, the inability of the federal government to buy a new aircraft for the vice president, does it look like some kind of people being after his life? Because this is not the first time. This is about the 3rd time. Is it a signal, you know,
Who is that?
to start thinking in that direction?
And that is the vice president, Abi.
Yes.
If that, after his death, for what purpose?
I wouldn't know, because the speaker also complained about that.
Yes.
That his life is very important. When there are certain statements that come out from people, you know, you begin to interpret it in very several ways. That's why I'm asking.
Good.
If by any inclination you think that something in that direction could be happening.
No. If there's anybody, after anybody, like Shetima should tell us. Because that foreign object, we need to know what it is.
Exactly. When you talk about foreign objects.
They threw it from the sky, and it had to be on his own plane that the thing will land. And up till now, the FBI, they don't know the foreign object. Mr. Okoro, is it
now,
possible?
the speaker has also called on the FBI to investigate that accident.
Yes, what came out of the investigation? Foreign object, when it falls, you will see it now.
They think the FBI
You do need to constitute a committee to look at the foreign object. 1 hour is enough for you to identify the foreign. Come, JF Kennedy, is it inside the bush? The airport, is this inside the bush? Because that's where this kind of thing could happen. You say, maybe fell from 1 tree inside the bush. Oh.
Now, you seem to be giggling. Is there anything you want to chime in on that particular question?
Now, you know, what do we mean by foreign object? And I think Barrister Darlington has done good justice to the whole point. Look, let me tell you. Instead of this charlatan, with all due respect to him, that is in the Borno State House of Assembly, recommended this atrocious idea, what we should be talking about, what our lawmakers should be talking about right now, is a streamlining of the presidential fleet.
I'm telling you.
Why should we have 10 aircraft in a presidential fleet in a country that is undergoing reforms? In a country where you're saying the government is going broke. So as a result of going broke, we have to take subsidies out to save the country from going bankrupt. But we want to buy aircraft. It makes no sense. It's illogical. And that's why I've been laughing like we're jokers. When the guy talked about FBI, my laughter increased more because those guys are just laughing at us. We're laughing stock of the world. This is shameful. That somebody will say that a foreign object hits the plane of your vice president. Are we normal? This is crazy. In JFK, why would these politicians drag us to this level of mundane, ridiculous conversation at the national level? These are not the things we're talking about. We should say the presidential fleet should have no more than a maximum of 3 aircraft. Three. The others should be sold. They should, look, if I have 10 cars in my house, I will take them to a mechanic. They will touch it up and then I'll sell it.
Sorry, Moses.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
If we talk about 3, in the presidential fleet, I mean, we have the first lady, flying. We also have the Sheyi Tinubu, the first son. Should that be dragging for aircraft with the president and the vice president?
This man is looking for trouble.
If I call the APC man now, you will say no.
No, should that be dragging for aircraft?
Hold on. In America, where you copy the Democrats, do they have such a?
The man is trying to get us angry.
You know that
this is our homegrown democracy.
Homegrown.
If it works for us,
you should have invented your own. You should have invented your own type of democracy so that the world will know that
that's what we are trying to do.
Because America will be asking themselves, you mean this type of is that what this will copy from us? They'll be asking that question.
After all,
it's not done.
Trump's children are also part of the presidential.
It's not done. Let them not go there. What is bad is bad. There's no way you can say that you are poor and you have that. Do you know the maintenance alone, Mr. Okoro? Do you know the maintenance alone?
Parking fees.
Do you know the maintenance? You have not thought of this. I said the British Prime Minister cannot go this route. I'm telling you. The man, is it not John Cameroon, David Cameroon? You heard what he said during that time? He said we are fantastically corrupt. He added that if the amount of money being taken away from Nigeria, we are to be taken away from UK government, that the UK government will collapse. He said it. That means they know what is going on here. So instead of what to call leaders to order, stop this stealing. Do you know what? When I cried, Mr. Okoro, I cried when Interpol told you that every 1 hour, thousands of dollars leave this. I say is this every week or is this every day? It's every 1 hour. Was it not here we discussed it? What does that tell you? That is where your money is going. Nobody have identified who is taking this money away. I want to add it to what happened in 2017 under Buhari. They brought a forensic expert from US to come and help EFCC to trace all the money. That was when they were talking about the money they recovered. and reduce the figure. The guy came out and said, no, this figure is too small. That was not. He said that it is true that the other government that they took over from, that they too they remove money. But what he's seeing now is 100 times higher. For that reason, that boy contract was terminated.
Well, we know that in public offices, when public officials acquire properties, houses, cars, while they are in office, when they tend to leave, there is every tendency that they buy those things off. More often than not, they buy those things off and it becomes theirs as they leave office. Do you foresee any plan? Because when the president came into office, the first thing he did basically was, he got new cars, bought himself an Escalade, got himself a yacht, got himself a plane, because he needed to go, move around the world and get foreign direct investment. And he's been doing that. He's been moving around. Do you foresee a situation whereby, is there a possibility rather, let me put it this way, is there a possibility whereby when the president and the vice president might be leaving office, do you think they intend to buy these things off and it becomes
It's not
theirs?
possible. It's not
because
possible. It's not
possible. The president chose not to use the car that was used by his predecessor. He chose something different for his own.
That is what I'm telling you, that when we have governance, when we have good governance, this nonsense will stop. Because this is wastage. The car, the former president, you and I know that it is as fit as new. But because of this ego, why should I use the car used by the other person? Because the ego and because they have seen money. That's why these things nonsense are happening. Is that how America is changing their own cars and all that? Even if you say that they want to buy it, Mr. Moses, that is corruption working on all fours. Where did you get the money to buy all these things? Where? Tell me. If you want to buy the car, was it not Matawali who had the 30 cars in his compound and they told him to return? He said no. Is that not true? He took the court order for the governor to go and collect those things from him. Where did he get the money to acquire those things?
If you say it's not possible,
I would like you to respond to that too, as well.
Yes, we've had a former president of the Senate, David Mark, Bukola Saraki, and all of those people inherit not just the vehicles, but the houses they lived in as Senate president, official residences that they went away with. So why do you think this one wouldn't be possible?
Because you allowed it. I have told you here, it is because you allowed it.
So what makes you think we won't allow it again?
Because you don't want to go forward. That's the other way of saying.
We or the you?
Yes, the person that wants to reform, you know that all these things are corruption, started at you in the face, and you don't want to confront it. So what are you reforming? You are not reforming anything now. Are you not supposed to look at this and say, no, this is wastage, we must not continue like this? These other people who ruled us before, who have only one house, anywhere in Nigeria, in the world. Please, are they not Nigerians? Those people that ruled before, in the first report, Tafawa Balewa, Zik and Co., only one house. What happened to them? So you are not reforming anything. That's what I'm saying here. These are the things that we do, I will say, yes, this man came to work.
Okay.
There are standards of probity that are upheld in societies that work. And I think at some point, Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people will need to decide whether they want their society to work. If we want our society to work, there are some things that are abnormal, and we have to stand strongly against them.
Yes.
Look, we saw the transition, the power transition between Rishi Sunak and what's the name of this guy?
The last one. Yes, exactly.
It was an official Range Rover that took Sunak out of Downing. They drove. He walked out of Downing. They drove him away to his own private residence. He entered. I can't remember where they drove him to. He entered his own car, a BMW.
Yes.
That was the end. That same car Range was the one that brought Shetima into 10 Downing Street.
Oh no, they didn't see
the same car.
They didn't see it.
Which means Prime Minister after Prime Minister after Prime Minister will use that car during the useful life of that car. When that car has expired, they buy another one. Not for a new Prime Minister. In the United States of America, the same vehicle that Donald Trump rode as president is the one that Biden is using.
Is it today?
Until it goes end of life, then they replace. These are the societies that our people point at, the societies that we go to borrow money, the society we go to ask for help here and there. Imagine President Tinubu having the audacity to stand on the United Nations General Assembly platform and talk about debt forgiveness for Nigeria. The same man that just bought, look, that plane is not just a plane, no, it's a business luxury jet that was specially fitted, retrofitted for a Saudi prince.
Yes.
That was what he bought. This thing was full of luxury. You know, it's not just a travel jet. And this man now went to go and be asking for debt forgiveness. We're embarrassing ourselves as a people. All of these things are abnormal.
Shegu, sorry, you mentioned how Sunak and Kestama transited to another, to each other. And also what happens with the beast in the U.S. Don't you think that our situation is peculiar? We had a former presidential spokesperson, Ruben Abati, come out to tell us that, look, looks like there are some spirits that inhabit Aso Rock and all of that. So you see marabouts, some kind of people that the place needs to be cleansed. A lot of people have died. This person died there. This person died there. So when the president says, look, I cannot use this particular vehicle, is it not taking into consideration the peculiarity, the peculiarity of our situation?
Okay, so let's encode it in our laws then. Yeah, let's recognize in the Constitution that witchcraft is real, and that when a president is going out, that it's possible that his predecessor may have suffered some attacks from some witches. Let it be in the Constitution so that we know that we're a joke of a country. If we know that we're a serious country, then for goodness sake, all of these things must stop. We have to stop this craziness, this jamboree. I just look at the administration of President Tinubu, and honestly, it's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing what's going on right now. That on the one hand, how does this man wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and looks himself in the eye in the mirror, and he can deal with what he's seeing, given his conduct? You are speaking from two sides of your mouth on the same face. On the one hand, you are saying that the country is broke, you need to reform the economy, you need to take the country out of the doldrums and on the edge of bankruptcy. And on the other hand, you are creating new ministries, you are appointing new special advisors, you are buying new vehicles, you are buying new aircraft. Now your vice wants a new aircraft, you have renovated a house that Oshibajo lived in, or Oshibajo just parked out. They renovated it 21 billion naira. My God. What exactly is our problem in this country? So for me, it's all a joke. Until we say that we're serious and start demanding for accountability, for transparency as a people, when these politicians come home, what do we say to them? They're embarrassing us. And I think it's about time that we and I'm saying this to Nigerians, let's get serious. Let's stop defending this madness. It's madness. It's abnormal. I was having this conversation with my wife at home just yesterday. We have taken normalcy
to be normal.
The things that happen in this country cannot happen anywhere else in the world.
I'm telling you.
People will just be languishing in jail.
I'm telling you.
Look, a simple example. You are driving on a highway in this country today, on a highway, and then all of a sudden, you just see vehicles driving in the opposite direction, right there. And nothing, no reaction, even you that you are going, is normal. We are not okay anymore as a country. The abnormal things have become normal. We don't know right from wrong anymore. It's a bit difficult to distinguish. And I think it's got to stop. If it doesn't stop, it's a matter of time.
All right,
we're headed towards a precipice.
Oh,
it's a matter of time.
Okay. Well, let's, a revered barrister, Femi Fafalano, chimed in on the matter, talked about Nigerians taking ownership of how things are done, how monies are spent. Well, let's take a listen to what he had to say, and then we'll respond to it. Okay, well, I do understand that we don't have that one on tape right now, but well, he talked about Nigerians taking ownership of its resources. Yes, please.
You see, Moses, what Femi is saying, with due respect to him, it may not happen under APC. Because ordinary protests, look at what they did with it. Treasonable felony. all manner of things. Some people are languishing inside detention now, inside jail, for just what? Protesting or protesting. And this was the government that used protest to gain power. So what he's saying is the right thing, but can it happen under APC? The answer is no. That's as simple as that. If you see a government that meant well, we don't.
Why can't it happen if Nigerians come out, if Nigerians speak together with one voice? Why can't it happen?
Mostly they have divided us. Can't you see it? They have divided us. Look at nepotism, appointment. With this appointment now, none of Tinubu's officials from the Southwest will allow it to happen. Immediately the Southwest want to, they will, in fact, they will bombard them and start talking. Did you see what Ogun State governor, former Olusegun Oshoba? This is what he said. That Tinubu is our son. He must do second term. This time, let's support him. It does not matter whether he's doing well or not. With that kind of thing, and for somebody from that height, how can we move forward? Moses, how? You can see where the problem is. They have a way of exploiting our ethnic and tribal differences for their own selfish interests. And of course, the people don't know better. The people that know are very insignificant. They are not even up to 5%. When you go to all the tribes, all the regions, all the states, they are not up to 5%. The other 95 have been brainwashed into following what they are doing, what they are saying. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the truth. I pray the only time this thing may even bounce back on is when these people get tired. Because every evil has an expiration date. I have looked at all the evil men that ruled Africa. Uganda, of Idi Amin of Uganda, Emperor Bokassa.
With the hardship going on in Nigeria, do you think Nigerians have the luxury?
It will get to that point. The same way it got to a point where these people in this country said no. In fact, it gets so embarrassing in Togo here that the son of Iyadema, was the one who went to smoke him out and took him away. Because the man was becoming a problem to the whole country. His own son. So what does that tell you? Everything must have an expiration date. It's not that I don't know whether you and I will be here at that time. That's the problem. But to say that this will continue forever is not possible.
Shegun, please, how can Nigerians, in your opinion, how can Nigerians take ownership of public funds? Has been advocated, of course.
It's very difficult, but we have to try. We have to try.
What are the things that Nigerians
So
can
basically, we've got to use the instruments that are available under the law. There's nothing else you can do. It's either you go protesting, like Barrister said. If you do that, they will throw you in jail. But even then, we should still do that. Let them throw us in jail, like we used to sing in our days of activism. How many people the soldier go kill? So I think it's about time. We're not calling for violence, but Nigerians. I have a maxim that I always say: you can never get good governance without active participation of citizens. It's impossible. There is nowhere in the world where it happens where you see a government performing well and they're just doing it because the politicians running that government want to do good. They do it because they're afraid of backlash from the people. Because in those countries, there is a backlash for bad performance. In Nigeria, there is no backlash. So Nigerians need to wake up and stop fighting this ethnic fights, this religious fight. I go on social media and it's just shameful that I don't need to see the name of the person speaking before I know which tribe is from. Once I see a post that is unreasonably supportive of this government, the chances are 95% is a Yoruba man. Once I see a post that is very vitriolic and very, very acidic, the chances are he's a Southeast person. I just go on Twitter, and that's the pattern. On Facebook is the pattern. We have to break away from that, because that is a mold that they have placed us in to keep us subjugated, so that they can continue to steal us blind. Let us understand that the enemy the enemy has their hand in our, I don't want to call names. They have their hands in our kitty pots, and they are determined to keep us divided. So let's stop the division. Let us demand accountability from our government. One, through the instrument of protests. Don't get tired of protesting.
How can you protest when there are court orders?
It's okay. The court order, there is nowhere in the world that any court can make a ruling that people cannot protest. It's impossible. It's a natural law it's a natural law of society. You can't stop protest. All that order that they were giving is just to give police the power to brutalize people. You can't stop anybody. You can't restrict protest to any location. There is no such thing. Protest is not a meeting now. It's not a town hall meeting. It's a protest. It's whenever it happens, wherever it happens, based on how we're feeling as a people. End of story. Is our right. That's one. Instrumentality of protest. Instrumentality of occupation. You can do protest by just going on the street. You can go to House of Assembly, National Assembly, and park there. Sit down there and say you disrupt the action. Let the world see us. That's 2. Number 3, Freedom of Information Act. 4, the judiciary, by going to court to demand, to get orders to force governments to do things. We're not doing any of these things as a people. And we keep using the excuse that hey, when you do it, nothing will happen. Do it first. Let us, how many people have written Freedom of Information Act demand to the Ministry of Finance to say how much did, which was the second Niger, how much did it cost? How many people have done that? You know? So these are the kind of things that I think Nigerians can do. If we do this more and we get a critical mass of people making these demands, driving protests, that's why no matter what you have to say about Yele Sowore, I respect him. Because he is using this protest thing to the fullest. All of this revolution now, the protest that happened, this end hunger strike, he was the one behind it now. He was the primary mover of that thing. And,
but,
you know,
what impacts did it make?
No, it's an impact. The fact that we're even talking about it now, the fact that we have it as an event that we can refer to is already an impact. So we need more people putting their neck on the chopping board to do those types of things. If we don't, then they will keep recommending new jets because foreign object hits the plane of the vice president. Because they're not afraid of us.
All right then. Well, should we consider this your concluding thoughts?
Yeah. I think that Nigerians need to understand that
you could mention, the other 2 issues on the table.
All the issues. The fundamental issue is we are being governed poorly. We are being governed with disrespect. The politicians are only interested in perpetuating themselves in office so that they can feather their own nest and increase the wealth for their family and their children yet unborn. So if we don't want that to happen, Nigerians need to understand that we must stand up and say no. As long as we don't stand up to say no by any of those instruments I talked about, including the use of social media, let's stop fighting each other. Let Igbo man stop calling Yoruba man a traitor. Let Yoruba man stop saying Igbo man is a Yomiri or whatever. All that nonsense. It's all ridiculous. Just stand up. Face the politicians. They are the ones that are your problem. The reason you are buying bread at 1,800 naira and Gary at 4,000 naira per paint bucket is the politician. It's not your fellow Igbo man, your fellow Yoruba man, your fellow Fulani. So until we understand this and unite and fight this fight unitedly, here we are.
All right, Barrister, your concluding thoughts, please.
Yes, Moses, our way of recruitment is very important, very, very important, very germane. If you recruit good leaders, you get good results. If you recruit a bad leader, there is no way he can be good because a snake can never be short. It will always be long. Imagine if we had done the right thing last year. Will you and I be crying now? Or are you telling me that we don't have good people in Nigeria who can turn this economy around? Please, somebody should tell me. Look at what happened. I will always use that example because that's what is selling P2B today, what he did in Anambra. Anambra was in tatters before P2B took over. I mean in tatters. From Mbajuruju to Ngige. Anambra was like an ungoverned state until P2B came on board. They gave him 400 million naira to renovate whatever. Is it not? The man converted, said what? 400 what? P2B said, I was thinking somebody will come and dispute it.
Okay.
Is that not a leader? Why can't we have it at the national level? Moses, we have leaders in this country who sacrifice for the betterment of the generations unborn. Right, is it like that today?
So
if you don't recruit a good leader, don't cry, yo. Don't cry because the choices are there. Yeah, the choices are there, but you made the wrong choice.
Elections. So Nigerians should embrace elections.
Yes, there are good people. When they come out, don't look at money. Don't look at the person's content.
Well, this would be a good place to anchor the conversation. Thank you very much, Barrister Darlington Akumo, who is a VOP in-house analyst, and Shegun Shokwita, Executive Chairman, Accountability, Candor and Transparency Network. I hope I got that one right.
You tried.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show. This is where we'll have to drop anchor. And join us again in another 10 minutes at 9 o'clock precisely. We'll be looking at the papers, looking at stories that made it to the cover pages, and going in depth into the papers, Chukuma and I. All right, so on behalf of my colleagues, Chukuma Okoro, Fina Okechukwu, and the backroom staff as well, I am Moses Humphrey, wishing you a beautiful day. Bye for now.